The concierge's whisper floats down the marble corridor like dust in a slant of winter sun. Room 42. Not a sound. Outside, Los Angeles smolders in a raw April heat, but inside the Chateau Marmont, the air seems refrigerated by secrecy. Tyler Brooks, sleeves rolled to the elbows of a borrowed dress shirt, balances a silver tray whose porcelain rattles each time his knuckles twitch. He is 23, broke, and half illegal on the schedule. The maitre d' had let him fill in only because the real waiter had twisted an ankle. Now he glides past velvet drapes that smell of cedar and bygone cigarettes toward the one guest legends warn you never to touch. Michael Jackson sits alone beneath a Venetian chandelier that blinks soft gold over shoulder-padded black. Two bodyguards frame the doorway, marble pillars in cheap cologne. Tyler's shoes squeak. 1 second stretches, then another, until time seems to hinge on the tiny globule of espresso trembling at cup's rim. A surge of applause erupts in Tyler's mind, imagined, mocking, and the tremor in his wrist becomes a storm. The cup slips. Coffee arcs, a glistening ribbon, and smashes against the sequined lapel of the most photographed man alive. Scalding steam. China shatters. Silence detonates. The guards inhale in unison, shoulders flexing. Tyler's future, already fragile, collapses with the crockery. But Michael's gloved hand rises, not to strike, only to hover, palm outward, calming something no gun could stop. His lips open into a smile so gentle, it looks painful, as though kindness costs him blood. Time restarts. Different now, thinner somehow, and the smile becomes the doorway through which a stranger and a superstar will walk to places neither expects to survive unchanged. The cup's porcelain shards still gleam on the carpet when Michael motions Tyler closer, fingers flicking like notes sliding up a scale. "Sit," he murmurs, voice low, spent from some unseen struggle. The guards shift, confused. Waitstaff do not sit. Tyler obeys because disobedience requires courage he no longer owns. He folds to the chair opposite, cheeks aflame, apron soaked with horror. Michael studies him the way a conductor listens to a fading echo at the back of a hall. "Your hands," he says, glancing at the trembling fingers. "You play?" The question is absurd and intimate. Tyler swallows. "Guitar, and a little piano, sometimes." "Good." Michael lifts a napkin, dabs at the brown bloom on his jacket, then drops the linen as though stains belong to yesterday. "So, you understand timing." All the polished etiquette Tyler memorized during night shifts slides off like oil. He blurts the truth. "I needed the money. My band. We lost our rehearsal space. If I cover 3 breakfasts a day, the hostel keeps my bunk." Michael's eyes widen, not with pity but recognition. "Everyone pays rent in some way," he whispers, then leans forward, conspiratorial. "Bring me something from your heart." Tyler blinks. "Sir? A song. Just a taste. Right now. Don't worry about key." The ballroom hush shivers. At the far wall, a baby grand waits under a quilted cover. Tyler's legs move of their own accord. He lifts the lid, exposing ivory that reflects the chandelier like city lights on water. Breathless, he plays 4 bars of a tune he wrote at 17. Minor key, half hope, half rage. The notes float into the vaulted ceiling and freeze there, trembling. Behind him, the superstar's eyes close, shoulders sink. For 5 seconds, Michael Jackson is not an icon, nor a lawsuit, nor a marketing empire. He is simply a man hearing a melody that no boardroom has approved. When the last chord fades, he exhales, a sound like glass warming in sun. "Thank you," he says, voice husky, "for reminding me." Tyler turns, pulse pounding. He expects dismissal, maybe a discreet escort to the alley. Instead, Michael pats the chair again. "Stay. Eat with me." A second waiter scurries in, frightened, holding a replacement tray. Michael waves him off. "He's my guest." The guards share a glance. Protocol ruptures, but obey. Silver domes lift. Egg white omelet for Michael. Burnt toast for no one in particular. Tyler chews because refusing would feel like spitting in church. Michael, meanwhile, picks at parsley, gaze drifting toward windows that frame the hazy Hollywood skyline. "Noise out there," he murmurs, fork idling. They see what they want. Outrage. Shadows. He meets Tyler's stare. "In here, I need quiet people who don't lie to themselves." Tyler feels the room tilt. No magazine article ever mentions this ache, this almost physical hunger for truth. He reaches for the only currency he owns. "I could cover your lunches," he offers, half joking. Michael shakes his head gently. "Lunch is survival. I'm asking about soul. Stay this week. Bring your guitar tonight. We'll trade." He pauses, eyes softening. "Please." The word carries weight unimaginable. Tyler nods before doubt can speak. At the door, the maitre d' appears, face plastic with apology, but Michael lifts one hand. Enough. "He's with me." The maitre d' retreats like a ghost denied. Breakfast ends. Michael rises. Tyler scrambles to fetch the jacket, now stiff with coffee, but the pop star refuses. "A stain reminds you something real happened." He slips on an oversized fedora, tilts it, a private signal, and glides toward the elevator. The guards flank him. Tyler watches the patterned carpet until the last footfall vanishes, then notices his own reflection in the piano lid. Sweat damp, wide-eyed, suddenly written into a narrative far larger than paying rent. Only when a busboy coughs does Tyler remember the broken cup. He kneels, gathers ceramic fragments into his palm. One shard slices skin, a bright line of red against white. Pain sparks clarity. The myth cracked. Something raw shone through. And the wound, like the stain, means he was there when the impossible tilted. The elevator bell chimes softly above. Somewhere on the penthouse floor, behind bronze-latticed doors, the man everyone wants to own waits, for a stranger with music in his throat and nothing left to lose. Tyler wipes the blood on his apron, breathes the hush of chandeliered air, and decides that tonight he will walk back through those doors, even if it costs him everything that came before. Night has folded Sunset Boulevard into a glittering crease, when Tyler, still wearing the coffee-stained shirt that now feels like borrowed courage, slips through the service door and rides the freight elevator alone. The lift trembles. Each shudder seems to echo the choice he made downstairs. Return, no matter the cost. A single bulb hums overhead, tinting the narrow cabin the color of old parchment. He tells himself the sound is electricity, not his pulse. The doors sigh open onto the 8th floor. Corridor lamps are dimmed to a cinematic hush, carpeting so thick it mutes even memory. Ahead, Michael's suite yawns behind double doors, the shade of dried rose petals. From beyond them floats a fragment of melody, piano, slow, unresolved. Tyler recognizes neither tune nor key, only the ache stitched into every wandering note. It is the kind of sound one makes when speaking would be a betrayal. He knocks because etiquette is the cheapest armor he owns. The music stops mid-phrase. A latch clicks, and then the door eases back on a sliver of amber light. No bodyguards, no manager, just Michael, barefoot, sleeves rolled past surprisingly knobby elbows, eyes ringed by the fatigue of a decade. "You came," he says, as though stating a law of physics. Tyler lifts the small, battered guitar case he brought. "You asked." "Then play," Michael whispers, stepping aside. The sitting room is vast, yet claustrophobic, with velvet drapes drawn tight against paparazzi telescopes. Lamps pool soft halos across Persian rugs. A half-finished jigsaw of a moonlit lake sprawls on the coffee table beside unopened fan mail. On the far wall, a whiteboard bleeds with staff schedules, radio station call times, rehearsal blocks, life plotted to the minute by someone who is not in the room. But the grand piano stands open like a promise. A spiral notebook of manuscript paper fans across its lid, bars scribbled, erased, rewritten until the paper thins. Michael gestures at a chair near the keyboard. Tyler sits, sets the guitar on his lap, and rakes a thumb across muted strings. The sound is small, but the silence holds it as if every molecule were listening. Michael begins to play again. Just right hand, a thread of melody climbing hesitant steps. He nods for Tyler to join. Tyler strums a tentative chord, then another, painting a rust-colored harmony beneath the porcelain treble. The pieces fit in ways neither planned. When the last shape resolves, Michael lifts his hands, letting the final chord hang like breathed-out glass. For a moment, the suite feels exterior to the world, a snow globe shaken above chaos. Michael exhales, blinking. "Stay the week," he says, words breaking with sincerity. "Officially, you bring breakfast. Unofficially, you bring noise they can't predict." He taps a fingertip to his temple. "I need that." Tyler's response is a quick nod that feels like yielding to gravity. Inside, he calculates lost shifts, rent deadlines, the hostile manager's brittle patience. Above those alarms floats something louder. The knowledge that here, in this cloister of drapes and untitled songs, he matters. Past midnight, Michael rummages through a leather valise and produces a cassette tape labeled only with a date, APR 1292. The handwriting is hurried, almost childish. "Demo nobody's heard," he explains, pressing the rectangle into Tyler's palm as though entrusting a relic. "If it's false, tell me. I've too many mirrors. Need a window." Tyler turns the cassette over, thumb brushing the spool's cloudy eye. "I'll listen." Michael's smile is small, more relief than joy. Then he freezes, realizing something, and sweeps a diary off the piano bench to clear space. But the book slips, pages yawning. A photograph flutters free. Michael at 8, cheeks round, eyes uneasy under a circus of stage lights. Tyler catches a glimpse of fresh ink beside it. "I keep hearing the child asking if the man is still kind." He looks away, almost ashamed of the accidental trespass. Michael folds the diary shut with delicate care, neither scolding nor excusing. "Everyone needs somewhere to whisper," he says, voice grainy. Outside, a siren howls down sunset, Doppler warping into distance. Michael walks to the window, parts a curtain 2 inches. Flashes of photographers ignite distant rooftops, white sparks dying against the dark. He lets the drape fall. "They think the lights are for them," he murmurs. "Most nights I think so too." The clock on the mantel melts toward 2 a.m. Tyler rises, sensing dismissal, yet reluctant to sever the fragile filament between them. "Breakfast at 7?" he asks, half-teasing. 7:05, Michael corrects, a conspiratorial grin tugging. "We'll skip the coffee spill." "You sure? It got me the gig." Michael laughs, quiet, unpracticed, startling, as though discovering a muscle long unused. The sound warms the room more than any lamp. "Go sleep," he says. "Dream a better bridge for that melody." He nods at the guitar. "Tomorrow we build." The corridor swallows Tyler again, but now the silence feels charged, purposeful. He presses the cassette to his heart, already hearing phantom choruses. In the service elevator, he studies his own reflection in the brushed steel. Same ragged hair, same eyes rimmed with exhaustion, yet something inside stands taller, like lungs finally drawing full breath. Back in the tiny staff dormitory he shares with 2 dishwashers, he slips headphones over his ears and feeds the tape into a battered Walkman. Static crackles, then a bare metronome tick, then Michael's voice, unpolished, unmasked, floating over a single chord progression. No strings, no backing choir, just a man singing what sounds like a lullaby to the part of himself the world keeps stealing. Halfway through the refrain, a sudden modulation lifts the melody into light. Tyler's eyes sting. When the tape clicks off, dawn is smearing lavender along the horizon. Exhaustion weighs on his limbs, yet excitement thrums beneath. He rewinds, not to hear perfection, but to study the fractures where truth lives. Each replay tightens the thread binding him to the suite upstairs, to the puzzle of a superstar who collects strangers for their honesty. At 6:30, he showers, scrubbing away the crusted coffee until only a pale stain remains at the shirt cuff, the smallest reminder of collision. He buttons a fresh, borrowed uniform, smooths hair with tap water, and pockets the tape like a pact. Walking the hushed hallway toward room 42, Tyler notices that overnight housekeeping has placed a discreet brass plaque beside the door. Private server, T. Brooks. The polished letters gleam in pre-dawn lamp glow, absurdly official. He reaches to trace the engraving, feeling lineage he never asked for settle onto his shoulders like a cloak. Heavy, improbable, necessary. From inside the suite, faint piano arpeggios spiral upward. Michael is awake, building scaffolds of sound before the city fully stirs. Tyler inhales, squares the tray loaded with omelet and herbal tea, and knocks twice. Steady this time, because the ground already shook, and he is still standing. The door opens at once, as though rehearsed. Michael meets his eyes, gestures him in, then notices the cassette peeking from Tyler's apron. Hope flickers across the singer's face. "Window," he whispers, reminding them both of the agreement. Tyler steps over the threshold, heart sinking with the quiet heartbeat of the piano. Behind him, the door seals, shutting out a world that prefers legends immutable. Inside, 2 musicians separated by kingdoms of fame prepare to barter honesty for melody, aware that by week's end, the bargain could save them, or expose them further than any headline ever dared. The kettle whistles. The low sunlight slices through a crack in the drapes. And the song, still nameless, waits between them like a fragile animal that trusts only the hands that refused to flinch. The blacked-out van noses onto Ventura Boulevard under a noon sky that burns the asphalt the way stage lights scorch skin. Inside, the air smells of fresh vinyl and nervous anticipation. Tyler perches behind the driver, knees knocking a snareless rhythm. guitar case wedged between boots that still remember dish room floors. Across from him, Michael, hood up, surgical mask in place, rocks gently with every stop and go, headphones leaking faint clicks of a metronome only he can hear. To the world, today's excursion is a bland meeting with producers. But Tyler has seen the real itinerary scrawled at dawn on hotel stationery. Find the heartbeat. Break the cage. Record one hides behind mirrored glass in a Sherman Oaks strip that otherwise trades in insurance forms and bankruptcies. Security waves them through double gates, past a courtyard where a lone jacaranda snows violet petals onto cement. Inside, corridor walls are lined with gold records, frozen applause, yet the carpet muffles every footstep as if the building itself has signed an NDA. A receptionist offers badges. Michael ignores them, motioning Tyler forward. "Stay close," he murmurs, eyes only. New rooms swallow strangers. Studio A yawns wide, cathedral for electricity. An SSL console spreads like the cockpit of a starship, faders neat as gravestones. Coils of patch cable glint. Reel-to-reel machines hum in standby, ready to imprison whatever magic enters. 3 people turn at once. Lenny Marquez, house engineer in baseball cap. Camille Blake, session drummer with mallets stuck behind one ear. And Reuben Cole, junior producer, whose suit looks rented, but ambition does not. They all register Tyler's apron-creased posture, then pivot to Michael, relief flooding faces. Icons stabilize rooms, not busboys. After curt greetings, Michael slips to the live room, leaving Tyler in the nerve center with technicians who pretend not to stare. Lenny kills the talkback, leans over. "Roadie?" he whispers. "Personal server," Tyler answers, unsure himself. On the other side of glass, Michael waves once, counts off 4 with 2 delicate fingers, and dives into a chord progression on a cherry-red Steinway. Camille joins on brushes, cymbals sighing like doors to distant hallways. A draft mix blooms through near-field monitors, verse in A minor, breathy, half-confession. Reuben's head bobs until the chorus, where a programmed kick slams in 4 on the floor. Slick, predictable, expensive. Tyler flinches. The groove feels like a security fence disguised as dance. Michael stops mid-bar, brows knitting behind dark glasses. He signals the control room. Reuben hits talkback. "What you need, MJ?" "Pulse is wrong," Michael says. "Feels like breathing through cloth." Lenny starts offering compression ratios. Camille suggests swapping sticks, but Tyler hears himself speak over everyone. "Shift the kick off the 1, he blurts. Silence whiplashes. Reuben's chair swivels. "You chart drums now, waiter?" Tyler's cheeks flame. He meets Michael's gaze through the glass, expecting admonition. Instead, Michael's eyes flash with the delight of a kid finding a hidden stairway. "Show me," he says. The room exhales disbelief. Camille motions Tyler out. Heart ricocheting, he threads through cables to the kit. He taps a pattern on hi-hat. Kick landing a hair late, snare nudging forward like anticipation itself. Camille copies, muscle memory quick. They loop it. Michael re-enters with the piano, this time letting left-hand chords chase the shifted heartbeat. Monitors erupt. The song tilts, suddenly weightless, lungs opening where the metronome used to clamp. Inside the control booth, even Reuben's jaw slackens. The groove is raw. Less radio, more blood. He mutes the board, pressing intercom again. "Run another pass. Print everything." Lenny arms the tape deck. Red bulbs wink alive. They record 4 takes. Between each, Michael's shoulders straighten, a sort of cellular unburdening. When they break, he steps into the booth, sweat beading at his hairline, and bumps Tyler's fist with gloved knuckles. "Windows," he whispers, code for honesty, and laughs, a real laugh that fogs the mask. Applause erupts from no one. Still, the mood crests until Karen Elias, PR strategist, sweeps in with clipboard artillery. Flash bulb smile, zero warmth. She notes Tyler instantly, pupils narrowing like lenses seeking focus. "New hire?" she asks, syrup over steel. "Friend," Michael answers. One word, full stop. Karen files it away. During a coffee break, Tyler wanders into an ISO booth crammed with percussion toys. Ruben corners him among cowbells. "You're not just room service," he says, voice pitched low. "Where'd you study?" "Nowhere," Tyler replies. "My band plays whatever bar lets amps on stage." Ruben studies him, weighing value against risk. Michael picks strays, but the kennel's fenced. Don't bark too loud. He leaves before Tyler can respond. Tracking resumes. They layer hand claps, Hammond organ swells, ghost vocals curling like smoke around the main line. Each playback scours another layer of varnish from the composition, revealing grain and scar beneath. Tyler watches Michael close his eyes, sway, as if matching heartbeat to newly liberated rhythm. Studio A feels less like machinery now, more like confession booth. Wires as veins, reels as memory. Evening amber filters through skylights when Lenny rolls back the final mix. The room falls still. The song, still untitled, breathes big screen scope, yet keeps the raw lilt of a street corner ballad. Camille wipes one eye. Ruben exhales a three-note whistle of surprise. Karen calls it promising, which in her dialect means dangerous to mold. Michael turns to Tyler. See, one stray beat, the whole frame tilts. He lowers the mask, just for a second, revealing a grin bright enough to refute tabloids. Then the guardrails snap back. Security enters, announcing press outside. Michael straightens, sculpting posture into iconography. As they pack up, Karen blocks Tyler's exit. "He'll tire of novelties," she murmurs. "Take your backstage pass while it lasts." Her smile flicks off like a switch. Outside, the jacaranda is losing its last petals to a dusk breeze. Michael waits by the van, bodyguards forming an accidental sculpture around him. He presses a fresh cassette into Tyler's palm, today's mix labeled Window Take 5. "Keep," he says. "If they bury it, you'll know the version with a pulse existed." The ride back slips between flashbulbs and engine growl. Tyler gazes at the tape, thumb tracing the spool, sensing bigger storms ahead. Producers probing, PR fortifying, headlines hungry. But inside plastic housings spins proof that unpredictability can still crack open empires. Downtown lights appear, each the size of a hope. From the front seat, Michael hums the new groove. Quiet. Content. Tyler joins, tapping shifted kicks on his knee. The rhythm of two outsiders holding a secret, loud enough to drown the noise engineered to contain them. Tyler wakes before dawn to an unfamiliar buzz, the low-grade electric hum of catastrophe gathering shape. From his hostel bunk, he can see only a slice of hallway light, but the air itself feels warped, as though someone has twisted the city's radio dial and all the wrong frequencies are bleeding through. His cheap flip phone vibrates against the metal frame. When he answers, A woman's breathless voice fires questions without punctuation. How long have you known Michael? Was the night at Record One a date? Are you the secret muse moving into his suite? Then disconnects in a fizz of static. Before Tyler can process, the phone lights again. Another unknown number, then another, each hanging up as soon as he speaks. He scrolls. 16 missed calls, 39 texts, all from numbers that weren't in his world yesterday. In the communal kitchen, the television is already blaring a tabloid breakfast show. A looping B-roll of the van entering Record One plays beneath a banner. Pop King's mysterious waiter whisperer. Tyler's own face, blown up, grainy, mid-blink, hovers under a giant yellow question mark. The host, grinning like a matinee villain, speculates about weird rituals and cult-like control. Every few seconds, the Kirunhan flashes kick drum conspiracy. A washerwoman pauses mid-mop to stare at him, bleach dripping from the strands. Tyler backs out, heart punching ribs. At Chateau Marmont, the courtyard simmers with lenses. Paparazzi pack the wrought iron gate, eyes black behind prescriptionless frames, shouting questions like stones. Valets form a loose barricade. When Tyler slips through, flashes explode, searing, relentless, each one a small detonation that erases the moment after it happens. He ducks his head, clutching a brown paper sack containing Michael's preferred honey ginger tea. Someone yells, "Name the cult, Tyler!" Another shouts, "How much does he pay you to keep quiet?" Inside, Marble cools the panic from his skin. But the lobby is no sanctuary. Executives in shark-colored suits cluster near the elevators, murmuring in legal undertones. Karen Elias materializes, clipboard holstered. Her lipstick is crisis red. "Do not speak to anyone," she orders. "You're invisible until I decide otherwise." Tyler tries to ask who leaked the studio session. Karen slices the air. "Everything leaks," she says. "The question is how noisy it lands." She steers him toward a service lift. Damage control meeting in 30. Michael's rehearsing. Keep him calm. The suite hallway feels narrower, security doubled, new faces with earpieces, eyes scanning ceiling tiles for ghosts. Tyler's throat tightens as he knocks. Door opens. Michael stands in soft gray sweats, barefoot on antique parquet, eyes lava bright with sleeplessness. In the background, a metronome clicks at cardiac pace. He gestures Tyler inside. "I saw," Michael says, voice low but lucid. "Every channel at once, like birthday candles burning skin." Tyler sets the tea on a tray, fumbling apologies. Michael raises a gentle hand. "You didn't light the match." He turns to the piano where sheet music lies like scattered feathers. "When the cage rattles, birds scream. Doesn't mean we stop singing." The words steady Tyler more than chamomile ever could. He pulls the fresh cassette from his pocket. Window take 5, and slides it onto the lid. Michael runs a fingertip over the label, fragile smile flickering. "Proof of breathing," he murmurs. But the moment fractures when the sweet phone rings, Karen, summoning them downstairs. Michael exhales a note of resignation, the kind he reserves for talking points and autographs. Conference Room B is a frigid aquarium of polished oak and legal pads. Michael sits at the head, flanked by 2 attorneys, a publicist, and Ruben, who looks newly ironed but uneasy. Tyler occupies a chair at the margin, feeling like smudged punctuation. Karen clicks a remote. A projector splashes headlines across the wall. Waitership, puppet, or partner. Dangerous new influence on vulnerable superstar. Each slide feels like a punchline missing its setup. Attorney number 1 advises releasing a statement. Mr. Brooks is a temporary hospitality employee. Attorney 2 suggests a countersuit against the gossip site. Reuben mutters about scrapping the track entirely. Radio won't touch scandal. Tyler tries to disappear into the upholstery, but Karen swivels, laser pointer aimed like crosshairs. "Mr. Brooks," she says, "there's a six-figure offer for your exclusive story. You could clarify everything on our terms." She smiles thinly. "Or they'll purchase creative fiction elsewhere." The room tilts. 6 figures could erase hostile debt, buy instruments, fund an EP. He imagines his bandmates stacked in a borrowed van, chasing bars across county lines, dreams financed by a single compromised paragraph. Michael's voice slices the hush. He doesn't raise it, yet everyone hears. "If someone hears you for the first time, would you sell them?" His gaze never leaves Tyler. No accusation, just a question suspended like a minor seventh that refuses to resolve. Heat floods Tyler's face. "I wouldn't," he says, the words surprising him with their solidity. "Not you." Karen's nostrils flare, disappointment or relief, hard to tell. She snaps the remote off. Then we tighten ship. No phones, no unscheduled movements. You're shadowed at all times. Understood? That night, the hallway outside Tyler's dorm swarms with reporters. He can't go home. He leaves a scribbled note on his bunk. "Taking a few days, cover my shifts if you can," and slips into the back of a taxi, heading nowhere in particular. Halfway down Melrose, his phone rings again. The screen shows an agent he's never met. He silences it, throat aching. At a red light, he sees a teenage girl outside a bodega, clutching a cardboard sign scrawled with glitter pen. "Thank you, Michael. You saved my brother." Curiosity drags him from the cab. He approaches, wary of recognition. The girl's eyes widen at his face from the morning broadcasts, but she doesn't back away. "He paid for my brother's chemo," she blurts before he can speak. "Said no cameras." She hugs the sign like armor. "They said he was weird, but who else does that?" Tears threaten, but don't fall. The girl is practiced at choosing courage. Tyler feels something pivot inside, aligning. The world can weaponize rumor, but compassion rarely makes headlines. He thanks her, uncertain what else to offer, and she presses a friendship bracelet of cheap beads into his palm. "Give him?" she asks. He nods, voice gone. Back at the hotel, security almost denies him. Faces change, rules rewrite by the hour. But Michael steps into the lobby at that exact moment, as though destiny keeps a synchronized watch. Tyler crosses the marble expanse, heart hammering, and places the bracelet in Michael's hand. "From someone you helped," he says. Michael studies the beads. Plastic, clashy colors, no market value, then slips it onto his thin wrist beneath a tailored cuff. His eyes shine like summer rain on stage lights. "Proof," he whispers. "No camera flash can bleach that." Elevator doors close around them. Tyler finally exhales, realizing the hunt outside will not stop, that tomorrow the headlines will mutate and the offers will swell. But inside this narrow chamber hums a quieter frequency. 2 musicians, a bracelet, and a stubborn song with a pulse. As the floor numbers ascend, Tyler chooses his axis. He will trade comfort for truth, anonymity for loyalty, because some beats once shifted can never be put back on the one. When the doors part, sweet lights beckon like sunrise reversed. They step through, letting the latch seal against a world hungry for stories, certain they will write their own before anyone else can sell the ending. The jet leaves Van Nuys at first light, skimming a cloud layer the color of warm ash. Tyler sits opposite Michael in a cabin curtained for privacy, listening to the engines churn a lullaby that feels too calm for men carrying so many storms. Between them, a mahogany table holds two porcelain cups, chamomile for Michael, black coffee for Tyler, yet neither drinks. They stare instead at a leather-bound album Michael has placed like an invitation. Inside are Polaroids, a Ferris wheel lit by 1,000 bulbs, giraffes nibbling peach slices, a miniature locomotive looping beneath oaks. "Home," Michael says, brushing a fingertip across glossy film the way one might trace a scar. Tyler nods, struck by how the singer's voice contains both pride and apology. The plane descends over Santa Ynez Valley, revealing a ribbon of pavement that ends in emerald pasture. A golf cart waits beside the tarmac. The driver, a woman in khaki and a discreet earpiece, greets Michael. "Good morning, sir," without meeting his eyes. She offers Tyler a clipboard with a waiver to sign. The language is dense. No photos, no recordings, no dissemination of sensory impressions. He signs, wondering how memory can be trademarked. They crest a small hill, and Neverland unfurls beneath them, impossible and immediate. The entrance arch, wrought iron painted midnight blue, spells out the name in curling letters that sparkle under early sun. Beyond, rolling lawns, bronze statues of children reading, a carousel frozen mid-spin. Tyler exhales a wordless laugh, taken by the scale. He glimpses a zoo enclosure where zebras graze beside alpacas, a candy-striped soda fountain, and a theater facade modeled on 1930s movie palaces. Everything is immaculate, as though everyday erosion has been legislated out of existence. At the main house, staff line the walkway in silent formation. Uniforms pressed, smiles polite, eyes evasive. Michael acknowledges them with a nod, then leads Tyler inside. The foyer smells of citrus polish and gardenias. Music wafts from hidden speakers. Peter Pan Overture, softly orchestrated. Tyler's heartbeat sinks to woodwinds. For a moment, he feels 7 again, sneaking downstairs on Christmas Eve to see if magic left footprints. Rooms unfold like turning pages. A 2-story library where first editions wink behind glass. A game hall stocked with vintage pinball machines blinking attract mode neon. A kitchen bigger than the hostel that once housed him, its stainless steel counters so reflective, they double the world. Michael narrates when necessary, but mostly floats from room to room, letting Tyler absorb. The singer's steps seem lighter here, almost boyish, yet Tyler notices small fissures, a door handle wiped twice by a gloved hand, a painting straightened by reflex. Perfection demands vigilance. Mid-afternoon, they tour the amusement grounds. The Ferris wheel operators bow. They start the engine before passengers board, as if momentum is the real spectacle. Michael gestures Tyler into a carriage, then chooses not to ride himself. From the apex, Tyler sees the ranch mapped below. Train tracks gleaming, artificial lake glistening, topiary soldiers guarding walkways. He imagines newspapers calling it paradise, imagines what they'd omit. The uncanny hush under the calliope, the fixed smiles of staff repeating their loops like wind-up toys. When the wheel returns him to ground, Michael checks his watch. "Dinner in the Rose Garden," he suggests. Chef Ivan appears wordlessly with a picnic hamper. They eat cold lobster and mango slices while peacocks patrol the hedges. Sunset paints. The singer doesn't startle when Tyler's footsteps crunch gravel. "They're beautiful," Tyler says, because silence feels intrusive. "They're actors," Michael replies, voice barely above rustle of leaves, spinning without journey, just lines on a record, pretending it's a road. The carousel motors suddenly whir, lights ignite, horses rise and fall, orchestrion pipes wheeze a nursery waltz, yet no attendants are present. Automatic timer, Tyler assumes. Michael's eyes follow the empty parade. "I built this so children could feel wonder for free," he murmurs, "but late nights I watch it alone and remember I never had time to pause long enough to ride my own creation." Wind slips across the lawn, carrying scent of jasmine. Tyler sits beside him. The bench is cold, metal pressing through thin pajama fabric. "It must still give joy," he offers. "It does," Michael concedes, "but joy observed isn't always joy experienced. Sometimes I think I built a museum to the childhood I never met, and now I'm the night guard." He leans forward, elbows on knees. The laughter echoes after visitors leave. Echoes without source make poor company. The carousel slows, music warbling to silence. Horses freeze mid-leap. Lights click off, row by row, until only moonbeams paint them silver. Tyler studies Michael's silhouette, noting the slump of narrow shoulders, the stillness that has nothing to do with peace. "Is there a way to make it real?" he asks softly. Michael exhales, a sound part humor, part hurt. "Reality requires friction. Here everything slides too smoothly. No scraped knees, no curfew, no parents arguing over bills." He gestures at manicured darkness. It's an image stamped over longing. Tyler recalls the studio mix labeled Window, the bracelet from the girl outside the bodega, the staffer's wordless choreography. A pattern emerges, worlds crafted to control chaos, yet birthing new kinds of isolation. He feels both compassion and misgiving. Moon climbs higher, giraffes rustle in distant enclosure, their outlines tall against starlit fence. Michael stands. "I should rest," he says, but doesn't move. "Thank you for seeing past the glitter. Most visit to confirm a rumor or fulfill envy. You listen to the quiet." Tyler rises too. Quiet can tell louder truths. They walk back toward the house. Along the path, motion sensors trigger lampposts, each pool of light flicking on, then off after they pass, as if daylight is rationed here. At the veranda, steps Michael pauses. Tomorrow, the label sends executives for a photo op. They'll ride the train, eat cotton candy, leave with talking points. He looks at Tyler, vulnerability stark. "You'll be around?" "If you want me," Tyler answers. Michael nods. "I want authenticity. Hard to order that from catering." A faint smile ghosts his lips. "Sleep. The night here is forgiving, even if daylight isn't." Tyler watches him disappear through French doors. Alone again, he turns toward the carousel, now a dark silhouette. In the hush, he senses the ranch breathing, a vast mechanical chest rising, falling, powered by nostalgia and pain. For the first time since crossing the Iron Arch, the awe subsides, leaving room for empathy and a thread of foreboding. Neverland is stunning, yes, but it feels less like a sanctuary than a mirror held to wounds too deep for stage lights to heal. He heads to the bungalow, blanket slung over one arm. Inside, he sits at the desk, pulls a hotel notepad, and writes 4 chords that pulse with gentle dissonance. Music meant to honor beauty without denying fracture. Outside, crickets persist. Somewhere in the main house, perhaps, Michael hums in his sleep or paces wide halls seeking the echo of laughter that doesn't fade. Tyler caps his pen, extinguishes the lamp, and lets darkness settle, determined to meet the next sunrise not as a tourist, but as witness to the fragile truth beneath the fairy dust. Tyler's dream evaporates the instant fists hammer his bungalow door. 3 rapid thuds like a gavel sealing verdict. Gray dawn seeps through the curtains, washing the room in a pale that feels accusatory. He swings his legs off the canopy bed, heart slamming ahead of thought, and opens the door to find Julius, the senior security captain, flanked by 2 guards who look cut from the same granite. Julius's voice is gentler than his stance. "Sir, we need you to gather your things." "Is Michael all right?" Tyler asks, pulse ringing in his ears. This is a precaution." Julius avoids eye contact, as though truth is glass he might drop. "Vehicle's waiting. Breakfast will be packed to go." Precaution against what? Tyler dresses in yesterday's jeans, stuffs the new notebook and toothbrush into his guitar bag, and follows the silent escort through a colonnade that now feels colder, the gardens eerily still. As they approach the gatehouse, he notices staff members glancing away, their earlier courtesy replaced by a studied neutrality, the sort taught in diplomatic corps. A black SUV idles by the fountain. Its windows reflect the carousel where he and Michael spoke only hours ago. In the reflection, the ride appears upside down, horses hanging from invisible strings. Julius hands Tyler an envelope, plain, unmarked. "Contact number for the ranch if you need personal items shipped." "That's it?" Tyler hears the edge in his own voice. "Orders from management." Julius steps back. The SUV's rear door swings open. Decision was never on the menu. Inside, the driver barely offers a nod before accelerating down the sycamore-lined drive. Tyler watches Neverland recede until the archway vanishes in dust, then opens the envelope. No letter, only a folded tabloid snatched from a convenience rack. The Globe. Headline screaming in carmine ink, "Pop King's New Shadow." Beneath, a telephoto image of Michael and Tyler on the rose garden lawn, the friendship bracelet bright as evidence. Sub-headlines ooze speculation, control, danger, secret rituals, none burdened by fact. Tyler's throat dries. He flips pages, inside spreads show composite shots. Tyler carrying the cassette outside Record 1. Tyler stepping into the chateau elevator. Circles and arrows suggest conspiracy. Paragraphs quote, "anonymous insiders who never existed yesterday." The SUV merges onto Highway 101. Hills roll by indifferent. Tyler tries calling Michael, but a polite automated voice says the number is unreachable. He scrolls to voicemail. Flooded. Agents, bloggers, a cousin he hasn't spoken to in years. One message hisses, "Name your price, hero." He deletes them all, one after another, finger trembling. Traffic thickens near the city. As the skyline sharpens, so do the horns and sirens. A civic heartbeat too loud to ignore. The driver pulls beside Tyler's hostel, a squat brick building crusted with last decade's soot. A police cruiser inches past a barricade of cameras. Reporters crowd the stoop, some perched on stepladders for better angles. Others broadcast live, jabbing mics toward any movement behind cracked windows. Tyler slumps in the seat. "Can you keep driving?" Driver shrugs. "Destination logged. Orders stop here." The lock clicks open. He slips from the SUV into a wall of flash. Questions fly like hailstones. Did Michael buy your silence? Are you part of his secret children's circle? None wait for reply. He pushes through, head down. Inside the hostel foyer, the desk clerk, usually stoic, meets him with wide eyes. "Cops were here, man. Said your door was forced."
"They left this." He hands over a claim slip for a broken latch and a cardboard box containing Tyler's few possessions: clothes, lyric sheets, a cracked photo of his high school band. The guitar is missing. So is the Walkman. So is the cassette labeled Window Take 5. Police tape flutters on the third-floor landing. His room is a husk. Mattress flipped, drawers gutted, even the cheap ceiling tile ajar. Whoever hunted did not hunt alone. Tyler slumps against the frame, grief arriving not as tears, but as a quiet implosion, a sinking of the ribs around something suddenly weightless. His phone rings. Unknown number again. Thumb hovers to decline. Then he answers. Silence. Then a hush of breath. Finally, Michael's voice cracked at the edges. "I'm so sorry." 3 words, no mask. "Your people kicked me out," Tyler says, hearing his own bitterness like gravel. "I didn't know until after." Background noise suggests a moving vehicle. "They think distance shields you, from press, from threats. Shields me too." He exhales. "Truth is, I failed to shield you at all." Tyler looks around the wrecked room. "They took the tape." A pause. "I'll send a master copy." Soft resolve stiffens his syllables. "But that's not the wound." "No, it's trust." Tyler drags a palm over his face. "I don't know who to blame. Your managers, the press, you, for letting them?" Michael's answer is a whisper. "Blame the machinery that eats stories and spits out monsters. I'm inside its gears, same as you now." Road noise swells, then fades. "I'm arranging safe lodging. Independent. Untraceable." "You can't fix everything," Tyler mutters, yet part of him aches for the attempt. "I can try to fix what my orbit broke." A click. Perhaps he's covering the receiver. Then, "Give me an hour. Keep your phone on." The line dies. Tyler lowers the handset, feeling both weightier and hollow. He packs what remains of his life into the cardboard box, stepping over shattered jewel cases. Outside, reporters still yell. He wonders how many narratives they've drafted about him in the last 10 minutes. How many more will sprout by nightfall? He carries the box down the back stairs, slipping out through the kitchen exit into an alley smelling of damp bread and engine oil. No cameras here, only stray cats and the hum of a refrigeration unit. He walks, no plan, letting feet choose. Above, billboards loom, soda ads, movie posters, a new headline bulletin about a solar eclipse. The world keeps selling brightness while devouring lives off stage. An hour later, as promised, a text pings from an encrypted number. White Corolla, corner of Western and 5th, 7 p.m. Driver knows your name. MJ Tyler pockets the phone. He pauses at a bus shelter, watching clouds bruise toward dusk, and feels the fault line running between belief and betrayal widen under his shoes. He remembers Neverland's carousel spinning empty, the phantom laughter Michael yearned to hear, and understands. Exile is contagious. Today, it simply passed from one host to another. He tightens his grip on the cardboard box, squares his shoulders against the evening breeze, and steps onto the sidewalk, where city lights flicker on, indifferent, merciless, but still willing to shine on whoever keeps moving. Midnight in Los Angeles splinters into 2 cities, the one that dozes behind locked porch gates, and the one that prowls beneath billboards still lit for nobody. Tyler slips from the back seat of the unmarked Corolla
at a rural road that tilts north into darkness. Headlights die, leaving moonlight to gnaw at gravel. The driver, a silent man Michael calls Hale, hands him a keycard and no explanation. A mile ahead, lights pulse in a lone guard booth, the service entrance to Neverland. Tyler's pulse drums against his ribs while he hikes the shoulder cardboard box of salvaged belongings thumping against his thigh. Cloud cover drifts, revealing Orion for a breath. The constellation seems to point toward the estate, like a compass bored with other destinies. He reaches the boundary fence, unspools a length of mesh cut earlier by someone else, and crawls through, ripping a sleeve on jagged wire. Dew soaks his knees. A marble faun statue glowers as he passes, arms forever frozen around an invisible flute. Inside the grounds, flood lamps are dimmed to wisps, energy-saving mode for a kingdom at rest. The silence is so whole, it feels like a material. Tyler fears his own breathing might dent it. He navigates by memory, skirt the miniature train depot, veer left of the maze hedges, keep the clock tower behind the carousel's silhouette. Every few yards he pauses, scanning for patrols. There are none. Security, it seems, is deployed outward these days to keep the world from crashing the glass, not to keep Tyler out. The great house looms ahead with half its windows dark, half glowing warm butter yellow where night crew housekeepers finish chores. Tyler doesn't head there. Michael, he guesses, will be elsewhere, somewhere he can hear himself think. Tyler circles to the Japanese garden, a pocket of stillness pricked by the burble of a koi pond. Lanterns float on the water like tiny moons. On a footbridge, Michael stands, hands resting on the rail, fedora tipped back. He does not startle when Tyler's shoes scrape the plank. Perhaps he heard the echoes in gravel half an acre away. Or perhaps he never had to. "I thought they'd post watchers," Tyler whispers. "They monitor gate metrics, not ghosts." Michael's voice is steady but underslept, syllables clipped to conserve heat. "I called them off once I knew you'd come. Stealth is kinder than permission tonight." Tyler sets the box down. It looks absurdly small in the kung fu movie moonlight. "Why meet here? The bungalow has cameras in every hallway," Michael finishes. "Out here, the only lens is the sky." He taps the brim of his hat, invitation to join him at the railing. Water reflects their faces in ripples that refuse to hold a shape. Dragonflies skitter despite the hour. The garden's clock ignores human schedules. Tyler watches pale fish flash beneath lilies and feels words not in his throat. Since the eviction, he's rehearsed speeches. Anger, gratitude, ultimatum, all brittle in his mouth now. "You built sanctuary," he begins, voice low. But today, it was used to exile, not shelter. Michael's shoulders rise and fall. That was management. Reflex. He flicks a pebble, rings bloom on the pond. They think if they amputate potential scandal early, the limb won't bleed. They forget nerves run further than bone. Tyler studies him. Cheekbones bright where moonlight kisses thinning powder, chin faintly trembling. No glassy superstar poise, just a man in need of a verdict gentler than headlines. "When I was 5, Michael says, fingers tracing wood grain, "I learned applause could muffle any cry if the note held long enough. By 15, my father counted beats between curtain and encore like dollar bills. Nobody asked what the silence afterward felt like." Tyler swallows. Damp night air tastes of loam and chlorinated fountains. "You were a product," he says, not as accusation but obituary. "I was inventory." Michael's laugh is a whisper sawed in half. After Thriller, the label insured my ankles. Not my dreams, my joints. Silence fans out, the size of two bruised childhoods. Tyler's heart hammers a code he finally understands he must translate. He reaches into the box, retrieves a dog-eared family photograph. A boy version of himself sitting atop his father's shoulders at a CBS company picnic. Balloon clutched. Grin enormous. He holds it toward Michael. "My dad's name is Claude Brooks," Tyler says. "Corporate Communications, CBS Records. He helped launch Dangerous's first press kit draft in '88. Later, some execs wanted dirt, rumors to kneecap you before contract renegotiations. Dad refused. They called it insubordination. We lost everything inside a month." Michael turns the photo under the lantern glow, expression sliding from curiosity to softened sorrow. "I remember a Claude, tall man, kind eyes. He tried to slip me water backstage when everyone else pushed cola sponsorships." After the firing, Tyler continues, voice cracking. "Press blacklisted him. Mom took a night job. Bills piled. Dad never set foot near music again. He told me one thing mattered. Don't lie for a living. I thought hosting tables was safe. Turns out the stage finds you even behind the tray." Michael's gaze lifts from the photograph to Tyler's face, as if comparing before and after frames of the same wound. "You carried that weight into my orbit," he murmurs. "And I added gravity instead of lifting it." Tyler shakes his head. "You didn't leak the photos. You didn't smash my door. The machine did. Same one that came for my father." For a stretch, neither speaks. Crickets restart their frail percussion. Somewhere a generator hum dies, letting true night deeper into the garden. Then Michael steps forward, hesitant, like crossing a line he's drawn himself, and folds Tyler into an embrace. No stage hug for cameras, arms tight as tourniquets, spine bowed slightly as if shielding precious cargo. Tyler's breath hitches. He smells talcum, sweat, faint jasmine, feels ribs against ribs. Two metronomes searching for common time. "We didn't choose our starting keys," Michael whispers near his ear. "But maybe we can modulate." Tyler sags against him, cardboard box banging his calf. And for a heartbeat, the clamor of tabloids, sirens, PR directives fades like a crowd after encore. When they separate, Michael's eyes shine wet. He does not wipe them. He does not. "You still play, despite theft?" "I've got calluses," Tyler answers, lifting fingertips. "They can't break in and steal those." A small smile ghosts across Michael's mouth. He gestures toward the distant music barn, an old converted dairy where session gear sleeps. "There's a midnight upright inside. No cameras, only dust." Tyler nods. Together they cross the lawn, dew popping under shoes, bodies mirrored in empty funhouse windows. The barn door creaks. The piano waits beneath a quilt. Michael sheds the cover, revealing chipped ebony and ivory once bright in some church hall. They sit side by side on the bench. Tyler begins, slow progression built on the 4 chords he jotted at dawn. Michael answers with high register counters, slipping blue notes between Tyler's minor sevenths. The music swells, hesitant hope, shared sorrow, until rafters echo faintly, as though the building remembers hymns. They improvise 10 minutes, maybe 50. Time loses anchor. Outside, sprinklers hiss awake, showering roses that no audience will smell. When they finally stop, dawn's earliest tint scratches the barn windows. Tyler rests palms on knees, heart calm for the first time since eviction. Michael closes the keyboard lid with reverence. "This stay's ours," he says. "No tapes, no leaks. Just memory." Tyler exhales a vow he didn't know lived in him. "And whatever comes, we meet it together. My father once said the only fight worth losing is one you fight for truth." Michael nods, emotion so slight it might be prayer. "Then let's lose beautifully, or win loudly." They step into pale morning. Overhead, the Ferris wheel cabins catch first light, glass facets sparking like promise, still unmoving but ready. The headline machine will crank again in hours, and security fences will stiffen. Yet on this strip of grass, two men, one made a legend, the other nearly unmade by legends, walk toward the main house as equals, notes of their impromptu duet still breathing in their bones, determined that the next song, whatever shape it takes, will confess the shadows as boldly as it courts the sun. Hospital corridors seldom appear in tourist brochures, yet at dawn, the freeway to San Diego feels like a pilgrimage route. Michael sits beside Tyler in the back of a plain Sprinter van, the windows frosted to stop passerby curiosity. No entourage this time, just Hale at the wheel, Julius riding shotgun and scanning exits for tails. Michael wears gray scrubs over a white long-sleeved tee. The outfit flattens him into anonymity, but his posture betrays a humming urgency, as if the van itself is slow compared with what his heart intends to do. The pediatric oncology ward greets them with a chorus of soft machines. Infusion pumps clicking like distant typewriters, heart monitors chirping polite warnings, ventilation sighing through ceiling ducts. Walls are hand-painted with cartoon astronauts floating between planets that double as smiling oranges. The scent is unsettled, antiseptic edged by bubblegum toothpaste and the faint iron of fear. A volunteer coordinator named Marisol meets them. No clipboard, no camera, only tired eyes that brighten when she recognizes the visitor whose presence the children think belongs exclusively to music videos. Room by room they go. Michael kneels, never stands above, letting IV tubes drape his knee like accidental jewelry. He asks each child's name, favorite superhero, most annoying hospital rule. With a washable marker, he sketches tiny animals on chemotherapy poles. A cheetah sprinting up a drip chamber, a penguin sliding down a flow regulator. Tyler watches the boy, who hasn't spoken in 3 weeks, mouth the word, "Wow," as the drawing takes shape. The nurse at the doorway covers her lips, holding in a sound that might be a sob or a prayer. No photographers, no lighting rigs, just fluorescent bulbs buzzing like lazy cicadas. Mid-rounds, a mother hovers in the threshold, palm pressed to her throat. Her T-shirt reads Team Ellie, letters cracked by too many laundromat cycles. When Michael notices her, she tries to smile but fails. Instead, she steps forward, voice trembling. "3 kids," she begins, then falters. He guides her to a chair, listens as she explains that an anonymous donor wiped out a balance insurance refused to touch. Experimental protocol, non-covered meds, flights to a trial in Houston. Tyler sees Michael's fingers curl on his knee, as though bracing against impact. The woman finishes with a single sentence that feels like it weighs a century. "They gave us back tomorrows." Michael, speechless, simply clasps her hands. It is the quietest thunder Tyler has ever witnessed. After the final room, a chaplain leads them to a basement rec hall turned impromptu theater. There will be a short puppet show, small batch cupcakes, perhaps a whispered verse of "Smile" if Michael feels up to it. While staff arrange folding chairs, Tyler finds the kitchenette to unpack sterilized guitar strings. In the hum of an old vending machine, he hears the faint metallic chick-chick of a camera shutter. He spins, nothing but a mop bucket, fluorescent glare on linoleum. Nerves, he tells himself, yet the hair at his collar rises. The show begins. Tyler strums gentle major sevenths, while a nurse with sock puppets narrates a story about a dragon allergic to treasure. Children laugh. An oncologist wipes frosting from her sleeve. Then the shutter sound returns, closer, rapid, machine gun rhythm. Tyler's gaze snaps to the supply entrance. A lens glints behind a cracked door. Security is already moving, but light is faster. One last burst illuminates the room like strobe, freezing Michael mid-hug with a frail girl in kerchief. By the time Julius wrenches open the door, the photographer is gone, leaving only sterile air and a scatter of latex glove wrappers stirred by his sprint. News breaks before they clear the county line. Tyler's phone vibrates against the van seat. A push alert. Saint or showman. Pop icon stages. Sick kid spectacle. Thumbnail image. Michael bent over the little girl. Expression tender, but the caption gashes it open. PR play or predation. Other outlets pile on within minutes, each headline louder, font weight heavier. By the time they reach Los Angeles, talk radio hosts are trading insinuations like playing cards. The record label studio is waiting, antiseptic as a morgue. An assistant wordlessly hands Michael a packet of proposed responses, bullet point disclaimers to be faxed before evening news. Michael skims the first page, lips moving, then folds it into origami shards without speaking. He walks down the corridor toward dressing room 3, his preferred vocal warm-up space. Tyler follows, pulse hitching. Inside, floor-length mirrors line 2 walls, circus bright bulbs ringing each frame. Somebody left the news on mute. A caption scrolls under the image of Michael leaving the hospital. Controversial star courts sympathy. Michael stares at himself. Powder foundation half melted, face hollowed by fatigue. A tick twitches under one eye. Tyler steps forward, sensing aftershocks surfacing, but a single raised hand stops him. Not dismissal, caution. Michael's gaze drops to the countertop where a mason jar of makeup brushes sits bristle end up. Slowly, deliberately, he chooses none of them. His fist closes instead. Glass splinters bloom a second later when knuckles meet mirror. Crack fissures race like lightning across the reflection, slicing his image into disco ball fragments that catch bulb glare and fling it around the room. Shards rain onto the laminate. Blood beads on his fingers, but he seems unaware. Chest heaving, not from rage, but something quieter, older. Anguish denied an exit until now. Tyler reaches a towel, presses it over the cuts, feeling Michael's pulse thrum beneath terry cloth. Michael's voice emerges, thin, almost adolescent. They turn mercy into accusation. He shakes his head, a tremor of disbelief. Children are bargaining chips to them. Every kindness becomes counterfeit, if cashed publicly. Tyler binds the hand tighter. The kids know the truth, he says, surprised by the steadiness of his own tone. They lived it. No headline can repossess that. Michael's shoulders slump. He looks at the fractured mirror. A mosaic of eyes staring back, none meeting, none. I wanted one night without choreography. His lip twitches. Now, even my silence gets overdubbed. Tyler kneels, sweeping splinters into a waste bin with the towel's edge. Tiny pieces tinkle, sounding like a distant carillon out of tune. Somewhere down the hallway, Karen Elias is no doubt convening crisis calls, rehearsing sentences beginning with, "Michael regrets." In this room, however, regret feels too small a word. Tyler senses tectonic weariness, strata of years compacted by scrutiny. When the bleeding slows, he helps Michael to a couch under dimmer bulbs. Hale steps in with a first aid kit, eyes averted, professionalism standing guard over vulnerability. Tyler watches antiseptic fizz on the cuts, sees Michael's jaw tighten, but no complaint surfacing. The broken glass remains on the floor, custodial staff waiting outside until permission grants them permission to erase evidence. After Hale tapes the final butterfly strip, Michael flexes his fingers, winces, then closes the injured hand around nothing, testing grip on invisible Mike perhaps, or maybe anchoring himself to corporeal fact. He inhales through his nose, sharp. "Play me the mix," he says, voice regaining timbre. No lyrics, just that groove we rescued. Lenny, summoned via intercom, cues "Window take 5" in the control booth. Speakers bleed the offset kick, the Hammond swell, Tyler's stray guitar voicings. The track fills the shattered room, washing over fractured mirrors, bandaging wounds words can't reach. Michael's eyes close. His bloody fingers tap muted rhythms on denim. Outside, satellite trucks set up in the parking lot, dishes rotating like metallic sunflowers seeking scandal instead of light. Inside, two men breathe with the music, trusting that even shards refract brilliance, and that somewhere behind every lens, a listener still cares more for songs than for spectacle. The kick lands slightly late, exactly where Tyler dragged it days ago, and in that tiny syncopation there is space, room enough, perhaps, for hope to swing its legs and wait for dawn. Los Angeles comes on like a migraine at sunrise, street sweeper brushes rasping asphalt, helicopters rattling low over the 101, exhaust staining the air before the sun has time to warm it. Tyler feels every tremor. He has just stepped out of the record label loading dock, leaving Michael behind with a taped-up hand and a room full of fractured mirrors. Security offered him a town car, but he chose the pre-dawn bus instead, craving ordinary noise. The plastic seat is cold through denim. His reflection in the scratched window looks older than yesterday, as if the glass keeps a harsher calendar. By the time he reaches Silver Lake, the sky has bleached to the color of bone. He rents a shoebox apartment now, 4 weeks on a musician sublet site, paid in advance, with the last of his savings. The building is 1940s stucco, paint the shade of a nicotine stain. Usually the hallway reeks of incense from a neighbor who teaches gong meditation. This morning, it smells of ammonia and something sharper, like freshly sliced pine. The door to Unit 3C hangs ajar no more than a fingertip's width. Tyler stands very still, listening. Nothing. No footfalls, no television, only the ticking of a radiator that can't decide if it's on. Inside, the living space looks almost tidy until his eyes adjust. Carpet fibers lie flattened in strange directions, a breadcrumb map of someone else's shoes. Desk drawers gape. The cardboard box he carried from the hostel sits upended, contents combed into ragged categories. Most obvious thefts are small but precise. Passport, banned flash drive, the second-generation cassette Michael pressed into his palm. On the fridge, a sheet of lined paper dangles from a magnet shaped like a smiling avocado. 4 words in block capitals. This isn't about you. Leave. The pen pressure is deep enough to bruise the page. He checks the closet. Guitar untouched. Too conspicuous to fence, perhaps. Mattress slit at the seam. Whoever ransacked the place sought narrative, not valuables. They stole context, evidence, memory. Tyler fishes a camera from the debris, snaps photos of everything as it lies, then sinks onto the frayed sofa. The silence feels staged, like a movie set cleared between takes. For the next 6 days, his phone never cools. Journalists still call, but now the numbers include law firms, names he recognizes from entertainment law seminars he once watched online. The voicemails strike different tones: curiosity, camaraderie, veiled threat, but all end the same. Please return our call promptly. Michael, meanwhile, has vanished into an answering service maze. Each evening, Tyler dials and hears the same recorded greeting, velvet polite, hollow as a mausoleum. On the 7th night, an unfamiliar contact flashes across the cracked screen. D. Cone, CBS Archive. Tyler hesitates, then answers. Kid, the caller rasps, low enough to dodge automated recording triggers. It's Devin. Remember me? Intern pool, 1989. I owe your dad 3 favors. Devin coughs. The line sounds routed through 3 continents, though the man lives in Burbank. I'm not calling as the network. Off the record, disappear for a week. Something's inbound you don't want to ride. Tyler presses the phone tighter. What's something? Civil filings, criminal whispers, primetime specials. They're building siege engines and need bodies for ballast. You're on an early draft witness list because your name tested well with focus groups. Fresh face, small-town cadence. They think you'll fold on camera. I haven't been subpoenaed. You will be, or you'll be tried in absentia by the 6 o'clock anchors. Smoke while you can still choose the wind, Devin exhales. Devin. Tell Claude I tried. The call clicks out. Tyler's pulse knocks like a sneaker in a dryer. He closes blinds, stuffs what clothes remain into a duffel, but stalls at the threshold. Running would prove nothing, yet standing still might paint a target. He chooses neither. He waits. Dawn, day 8. Newsstands bloom with a single headline, replicated like wallpaper. New allegations. Rock Pop King. Subheads unravel accusations in serif fonts that lend authority by tradition alone. Tyler walks to a corner store for coffee. The clerk's radio hisses a talk show host, teasing exclusive documents. Mid-sentence, the host names 3 potential witnesses. Tyler's surname lands last, followed by a speculative biography that gets his birthplace and age wrong, but pronounces the vowels for maximum intrigue. He steps into the chilled aisle between cereal and dishwasher soap. The floor seems to list under his shoes. Halfway through counting his heartbeat, he notices a woman with a shopping basket watching him, recognition sparking behind her caution. Tyler leaves the coffee, exits fast. Hears the clerk call after him that he forgot his change. Back upstairs, voicemail balloons. Offers of media representation. Neutral investigators requesting informal chats. One invitation to appear on a daytime panel to clear the air. He deletes none. Evidence matters now, but responds to nobody. Mid-afternoon, a delivery arrives. A padded envelope with no return label. Inside, a photocopy of a formal complaint filed in Santa Barbara County Superior Court. Margin notes in red pen circle his name under Prospective Witnesses. Below, a post-it. You stay silent. You stay safe. No signature. The adhesive smells faintly of gardenias, the same scent pumped through the chateau lobby. Tyler sits at the tiny kitchen table, complaint beneath his palms like a Ouija board.
Outside, helicopters orbit downtown courthouses. He pictures Michael somewhere under those blades, phone confiscated by lawyers, oxygen thinned by betrayal. The world, once content to doubt, has begun to roar. And the quiet between roars, the space that used to cradle their music, fills now with the metallic taste of inevitability. He reaches for his guitar, fingers hovering before strings. The wood hums against his thigh, a muted promise that stories can still be tuned. In the adjacent room, his television flickers to life. Auto start set earlier for weather alerts. Every local channel has broken to a live feed. Podium, microphones, a district attorney's seal framed by flags. Reporters murmur like surf before a storm. Tyler does not raise the volume. He already knows the melody. Accusation, speculation, open question, offered as verdict. Instead, he presses both hands against the guitar's body, feeling the instrument vibrate to the low frequency of helicopters that now drift over his neighborhood, searching, always searching for the clearest shot through a window not yet boarded. The storm has begun, and silence, he realizes, is no longer a refuge. It is simply another kind of noise. Fluorescent light fans across the bailiff-colored walls. A sterile dawn that forgets the sun outside still glows orange. Tyler's chair, chrome legs, vinyl seat gone tacky with age, sits a breath off-center beneath a ceiling vent that exhales recycled chill. He was pulled from sleep 90 minutes earlier by a badge flashing through the peephole and a polite demand. Quick conversation, voluntary, of course. The sedan that collected him bore no official insignia. It did, however, know every shortcut between Silver Lake and this nondescript high-rise where each hallway looks Xeroxed from the previous. A man and a woman occupy the far side of the interview table. They offered first names, Eric, Ms. Torres, neither warm. Their suits are courthouse conservative, yet lack agency pins. Tyler cannot decide which alphabet they represent. Paper cups of coffee sit untouched, steam already surrendered. A dictaphone glows red, though nobody announced recording. "We appreciate you coming without counsel," Eric begins, smoothing an invisible wrinkle from his sleeve. Informal chats flow better uncluttered. Tyler's voice feels buried beneath a week of voicemails. "You said 15 minutes. Time is elastic when truth cooperates." Torres slides a folder forward. Inside lies a still frame. Michael in the oncology ward, cradling the girl with the kerchief. The image has been color-graded for menace, shadows deepened until every smile looks suspect. She taps it with a lacquered nail. "Describe what you witnessed before and after this moment." "I tuned a guitar. The nurses staged a puppet show. No press were invited." Eric swivels a laptop. Now Tyler sees a cross-cut montage. Neverland, Twilight, Record 1 hallway, hospital corridor. Each clip is freeze-framed on Tyler's own face, timestamps overlaid. But the supercut has been reordered to imply intimacy in places he never stood. These tapes came from freelance media. "We're merely corroborating context," Eric says. "So you want me to confirm a lie?" Torres leans in, voice sand-soft. "We're not asking for invention, just color. Memory is a lens. You can open the aperture a notch." Tyler's gut tightens. "Where's my subpoena? We're sparing you spectacle." Eric folds his hands, thumbs drumming. "Cooperate, and you remain a footnote. Resist, and you become headline number 2. He flips a page in the folder. An employment history, rent receipts, his cancelled gig contracts. Another page bears Claude Brooks' photograph.
Younger, corporate badge catching flash. Your father went through something similar in '86. Lost trajectory. Painful to repeat cycles. The steel in Tyler's spine surprises him. My father kept his integrity. A noble inheritance. Torres smiles, sympathetic now. Help us ensure yours isn't liquidated. Careers evaporate in protracted cases. Tyler pictures his guitar, the unpaid studio hours he dreamed might bloom after tour royalties. They dangle livelihood like a raffle prize rigged in advance. Eric slides over a pre-printed affidavit, blank lines interlaced with suggestive phrasing. Unusual nocturnal activities. Private access granted without supervision. You're free to strike wording that feels excessive. Initial the margins. We'll notarize discreetly. Tyler steadies his breath. Am I detained? Conversation, remember? Torres answers, but her hand covers the folder as though afraid it might escape. Doors aren't locked. Elevators, however, require escort. He pushes back the chair. Legs screech on linoleum. A small rebellion amplified by hush. Neither agent moves, yet something electric flickers behind their calm. Tyler collects his jacket, palms sweaty, and walks to the door that obligingly clicks open when he touches it. Hallway carpets swallow footfall. Ceiling cams pivot in quiet choreography. At the elevator, a uniformed guard appears as chaperone, says nothing during the ride to ground level. Outside, the morning has advanced to traffic snarl. Tyler's phone vibrates. A new text from an unknown number. Still time to rethink. Truth is flexible. He deletes it without opening, but the words imprint. He heads straight toward the iron and glass gate of the Chateau Marmont, heart bucking. Security recognizes him, yet the lead guard blocks path. Mr. Jackson is unavailable. The phrase lands like automated mail. Tyler insists. Another guard steps closer. The refusal is absolute, yet oddly gentle, as though denying entry to a chapel mid-service. 2 hours later, back in his apartment, a padded envelope waits on the floor. No postage, hand-delivered. Inside rests a single sheet of stationery embossed with a tiny golden crown. Ink flows in looping script. He knows. I understand the weight they stack upon your shoulders. Bricks, they claim, are feathers. If the path away from this storm feels safer, walk it. I will not chain you to thunder. But I trust the compass we heard inside that silent barn. Whether you speak for or against, may it always point to the frequency of your heart. No plea, no strategy, just latitude granted. The absence of pressure feels heavier than chains. Tyler reads the note twice, then lays it beside the unsigned affidavit he slipped into his pocket before leaving the interrogation room. 2 roads, one paved by fear, the other by something he once called music. Through the window, a helicopter chops south toward the courthouse, tail rotor flashing like a metronome. Every spin counts time he does not have. He fetches a pen, not to initial their margins, but to begin a ledger of facts unmarbled by rumor. The laughter in Ward 3B, the bracelet bright against Michael's wrist, the offset kick that gave a song breath. Outside, sirens swell. Inside, ink scratches rhythm, stubborn and uncoerced, refusing to let silence be scripted by anyone else ever again. Rain starts with no warning. A sudden metallic hiss against the diner's warped windows, as though Los Angeles itself can't decide whether to wash the streets clean or drown them. Tyler sits in a cracked vinyl booth, nursing coffee that tastes of overused grounds. A portable TV, bolted high in the corner, flickers through static until the image stabilizes on Michael Jackson's face. drawn, powdered, jaw set, with the kind of courage born only when retreat is impossible. No reporters flank him. No stage lights soften the edges. A single camera frames him from the shoulders up in a neutral room that could be a hotel or a holding cell. He speaks slowly, voice hoarse but unbroken. "There are accusations," he says, "and there is truth. I ask that truth be allowed to breathe before it is suffocated by noise." A man at the counter snorts, spoons sugar into dying foam. Two teenagers at the jukebox glance back, trade mocking smiles. When Michael vows cooperation with any lawful inquiry, the older of the teens cups a hand to his ear in pantomime of disbelief. Laughter ripples through the room, polite as spilled syrup, yet sharp enough to cut. Tyler keeps his eyes on the screen, coffee growing cold between his hands. The moment the feed ends, a daytime host fades in to dissect tone and posture. But Tyler is already outside, rain stinging his face like pin tacks, decision crystallizing with every drop. 42 hours later, Bangkok air presses against him like a wet tarp the instant he steps from Don Muang's arrivals hall. Taxis queue beneath flickering sodium lamps, while vendors hawk jasmine garlands and plastic ponchos in equal measure. He sleeps 4 hours in a budget hostel, then rises before dawn to join the early line at Rajamangala Stadium. By noon, humidity has soaked every thread of his clothes, yet the crowd, thousands deep, passports from half the globe, vibrates with expectancy that refuses to wilt. Newspaper vendors weave through, waving fresh broadsheets in Thai and English. Every front page pairs tour promos with the legal storm Tyler left behind. One headline reads, "The Last Dance?" Night falls like theater curtains. Stadium lights flare, and a roar detonates across 40,000 throats. Tyler finds his seat, far from VIP, but close enough to feel concussion when the first pyrotechnic burst rattles the stage foundations. The opening chord of Jam erupts. Michael catapults from beneath a trap door, landing in frozen silhouette, while fireworks sketch momentary constellations above. For 5 electrifying minutes the illusion holds. Spins sharp, vocals knife-fine, moonwalk slick as oil on glass. Then Tyler notices the seams, a fraction-late entry on "Wanna Be Startin' Somethin'," the 3-second pause for breath masked by dancers flooding the foreground. During Human Nature, Michael's left hand trembles so subtly the camera operators avoid close-ups, cutting instead to wide shots of the crowd's ecstatic wave. None of it matters to the children on their parents' shoulders in the front rows, eyes wide like lanterns. Their joy is unfiltered, and Michael seems to drink it, straightening for each chorus as if the lights themselves transfuse strength. The set barrels toward finale, Heal the World, then Man in the Mirror. And the singer's final bow lingers an extra heartbeat, chin lifted into monsoon-slick night. Backstage is another country. Fluorescents buzz overhead. The air reeks of dry ice residue, espresso, and fear. Tyler flashes an outdated laminate from the dangerous rehearsals. Security squints, then waves him through a maze of cables and wardrobe crates. He finds Michael in a dressing suite smaller than the Bangkok stage wings, slumped on a folding chair while a medic withdraws a hypodermic from his thigh. Gauze follows needle. The medic whispers dosage details to a road manager who scribbles without looking up. Sweat webs Michael's hairline. "Ty," he greets, voice no louder than the drip of condensation from the AC vent. The road manager bristles. This room is supposed to be hermetic. But Michael lifts a hand. Permission granted. On a makeup counter lies a stack of legal printouts. Airline baggage warped by humidity. Tyler recognizes letterhead from 2 law firms, mirrored on facing pages like dueling pistols. His own surname flashes among dozens, highlighted in neon ink. He catches a phrase, material witness, before Michael flips the file shut. "I saw your statement," Tyler says. Michael manages a ghost of a grin. Did the world breathe afterward? Not yet. The singer rubs bandaged fingers together, eyes skimming the dressing room floor, where glitter from his jacket has shed like metallic snow. "I don't know if I can lift tomorrow's curtain," he murmurs. "But tonight, some kid believed the impossible for 2 hours. If I stop, that light dies first. Headlines will still roar, lawyers will still circle, but the light—" He pinches thumb and forefinger as if holding a firefly. "That's on me." Tyler kneels, unlatches his guitar case. He carried the instrument through customs like a relic, though he doubted he would reach this room. He strums the offset groove they forged in Studio A, softer, tempo slowed to match the thrum of generators outside. Michael closes his eyes. Shoulders loosen. For 4 unrecorded minutes, dressing room walls fade, replaced by barns, midnight gardens, hospital corridors where kindness refused to bow. When the last chord dissolves, security signals that press is massing at gate 14. Michael stands, sways, steadies himself with a hand on Tyler's shoulder. "They'll ask why I staged a show while cities accuse," he says, breathing ragged. "Tell them music doesn't wait for verdicts. It answers them." He steps into the corridor, sequins catching fluorescent glare, posture rebuilding note by note. Tyler stays behind just long enough to gather the discarded legal list. He folds the page with his own name and tucks it into the guitar case beside spare strings. Outside, stadium crews dismantle lighting trusses. Thunder mutters over the Chao Phraya. Tomorrow may fracture, but tonight the song survived. And for Tyler, that is compass enough to keep moving toward whatever dawn demands. There is a metallic taste to January daylight in Los Angeles, the way it clings at the back of the tongue like the first penny a child ever put in his mouth. Tyler notices it the morning he steps off the red-eye from Thailand and inhales exhaust layered with early blooming jacaranda. The city has entered its short, rainy intermission, eucalyptus leaves shining wet on cracked sidewalks, but the air still smells burnt around the edges, as if some vast machine beneath the pavement is overheating. His sublet key snaps in the lock. The wood around the jamb is splintered, hinges dangling like dislocated shoulders. Inside, 3 men in trim charcoal suits occupy his living room as though auditioning couches. They do not rise when he enters. A fourth, a woman in a cream blazer, stands by the window examining rainfall the way an appraiser studies gemstone flaws. "Mr. Brooks," one says, crossing a knee, "welcome home. We represent several interested parties." The phrase is soft, almost polite, but the geometry of the room has been redrawn. Tyler no longer owns the center. A slim attaché case lies open on the coffee table. Atop a stack of papers sits a cashier's check for $100,000, face up, commas gleaming. "The sum is earnest," Cream Blazer adds, turning from the glass. "We ask only acknowledgement, your recollection of certain behaviors. No embellishment necessary. Sign and litigation will steer clear of you." Tyler drops his duffel. Jet lag yawns behind his eyes like a stairwell, but adrenaline sharpens thought. He recalls Michael's barn, notes blooming in dust-speckled lantern light, and the bracelet sliding onto a frail wrist in Ward 3B. He glances at the check, its ink still wet enough to glisten. I'm not a commodity, he says, voice sandpapered from 20 hours without sleep. That depends on the marketplace, another lawyer replies, flipping a pen toward him, shiny as baited metal. Memory is fungible. Yours can be leveraged or liquidated. They give him space to read. The contract's language slithers. Confirm atmospheres, corroborate impressions, leaving particulars blank for later insertion. Beside every blank, a miniature sticky flag invites his initials. Tyler walks to the kitchenette, searching for water. Cupboards hang open, contents rearranged. Coffee beans disappeared, vitamins lined in militant rows. Someone, during his absence, curated his private chaos. The refrigerator hums harder than before, its magnets gone except for one. The smiling avocado still holding the earlier threat. Leave, now curling at the corners from steam. The note's permanence feels like a grin behind curtains. He returns to find Cream Blazer holding his guitar. Body against her hip, lacquer catching fluorescence. Her manicured thumb traces the scar where airport handlers once cracked the spruce. Artists deserve security, she murmurs, almost maternal. Don't confuse martyrdom with integrity. Tyler reaches, takes back the instrument, feels the wood's familiar pulse. He sets it gently on the floor, then closes the attaché case without signing. I'll keep my own score, he says, polite, final. The first lawyer shrugs, pockets the check. Offers age fast. They file out without slamming the door, immune to drama, as if departure is simply the next clause. Their umbrellas bloom black against drizzle, leaving the room 3 degrees colder. That night, the cold grows teeth. Tyler lies on the couch, guitar a sentinel beside him, when a crash detonates in the stairwell. Glass splinters across linoleum. Acrid fumes snake under the gap. He bolts upright, eyes burning, and sees liquid sizzling, paint blistering on the door. Someone hurled a chemical cocktail. More message than destruction. We can breach at will. Fire alarms remain silent, insufficient damage to trigger sprinklers. Yet the smell, vinegar warped with corrosion, eddies through halls. Tenants crack their doors, peer out, then retreat like turtles under flash photography. Nobody calls 911. Silence here is currency you spend on continued tenancy. Tyler wedges towels against the threshold, throws open windows. Rain drifts sideways, diluting poison into something merely nauseating. By dawn, the odor clings to drapes like unshed arguments. His phone rings while he scrubs the last shards from the sill. Area code unfamiliar, but he recognizes the cadence before words. Michael. Voice low, running on sleepless gears. I heard, Michael says, skipping greeting. They painted you into the target they missed on me. I'm fine, Tyler lies, brushing glass dust off his palms. A pause, static swishing like silk. Ellie's family accepted a settlement. Michael's tone is fragile glass on stone. She's home without the new round of treatment. Doctors predict weeks. The news lands as quietly as snow, yet Tyler feels the building tilt. The little girl who clutched a puppet dragon, who laughed through morphine haze, now reduced to line items in someone else's risk portfolio. He pictures the anonymous cashier's check on his coffee table hours earlier. Same ink, different victim. How much unspoken harm becomes policy, Michael murmurs, almost to himself, before good people admit they've been bartering in shadows. Thunder rolls beyond the speaker. Maybe weather, maybe aircraft.
Tyler hears voices in the background. Advisors, doctors, indistinct like radio under blankets. Michael continues. They'll offer you higher numbers, softer threats. Each yes feels small until you add them. Refuse, and they'll scorch earth near you till it cracks. You think I don't know? Tyler wipes his brow, smearing dust across skin. Someone just auditioned arson in my hallway. I'm sorry. Genuine, unguarded. Then, the song we carved is still breathing. I play it in headphones before meetings. They can't redact rhythm. He inhales. Keep your melody alive, Tyler. They fear notes that refuse translation into ledger lines. Call ends, leaving dial tone hush. Tyler stares at the phone, then at blotches where acid stripped paint, revealing raw wood, wound and truth at once. Dawn files in under the blinds like thin knives. On the table lies the unsigned contract. Beside it, Michael's handwritten letter from weeks earlier. Tyler squares the pages, studies the contrast. Corporate parchment, heavy with threat glimmer, versus linen stationery smelling faintly of cedar. He pulls a lighter from the junk drawer, flicks flame. The contract edges curl, blackening, words disintegrating into upward flake. Smoke alarms stay silent, batteries long dead. He lets ashes fall into a chipped mug, then douses them with tap water. Later he walks to the children's hospital, raincoat collar up. Security recognizes him from donations roster, waves him through. Ellie's room is dim. Monitors hide their faces behind blue LEDs. Her mother lifts weary eyes, manages a nod. Tyler sits. Whisper sings the lullaby Michael penned in demo form, the one no programmer has looped for public sale. Ellie's breaths keep uneven tempo, but they keep. When he leaves, night has folded the city into pockets of neon. A billboard above the freeway screams, "Scandal update at 11. Next to it, holiday poinsettias droop in plastic planters on the overpass. Tyler sees petals wilted, stalks still armed with tiny thorns. Beauty and defense sharing one stem. Nature's brutally honest contract. He heads home, guitar strapped tight, shoes splashing through puddles that catch reflections of headlines in shopfront TVs. Each ripple distorts words into meaningless swirls. For the first time in weeks, he smiles. Even water knows how to refuse a perfect image. The desert begins where maps run out of adjectives. 2 hours east of Barstow, the highway dissolves into a rutted service road, then into hard-packed sand bruised by scrub. Tyler guides the borrowed pickup by memory of a half-erased fax. Gate at the dry arroyo, mile marker long gone. Late afternoon sun plates the windshield in molten brass, forcing him to squint until sweat stings his eyes. When the truck finally shudders to a halt beside a sagging windmill, he kills the engine and lets the silence roar. A corrugated steel hanger squats at the heart of the property, rimed with dust, the color of old violin varnish. No banners, no guards. Only a padlocked chain left conspicuously unfastened. The opposite of invitation, the absence of rejection. Inside, filtered light spills through uneven roof slats, striping the concrete like a tiger too tired to pounce. At the far end, among half-assembled stage risers, Michael waits on a folding chair. No entourage, no makeup, just a gray hoodie, threadbare jeans, and hands hidden in sleeves, as though warmth has become negotiable. Months have passed since Bangkok, but the first thing Tyler notices is the stillness. Michael is famous for motion, even at rest. Now he seems carved from quiet. Tyler crosses the echoing floor, footfalls ringing, each step a question louder than speech. He stops 2 paces away. The desert air between them feels primed for lightning, yet offers no storm. Michael lifts his chin. His voice, when it arrives, is desert dry. "Do you believe me?" The sentence hangs, naked of prologue. Tyler's tongue cleaves to his palate. Belief once felt binary, tabloid lie or courtroom fact. But months of weaponized rumor have ground conviction into ash. He wants to answer yes, but the word stalls behind images. Ellie's hospital bed, the acid-scarred door, the attorney's check gleaming like Judas silver. His silence stretches until the rafters seem to bow. Michael exhales, almost a whistle. Gray is crueler than black. He looks past Tyler toward the yawning hangar doors to where dusk bruises the horizon. "My father used to say God prefers sharp edges, makes sins easier to count. Show business likes them blurred." Tyler swallows. "I don't doubt your heart," he manages. "It's the world around it that terrifies me." He gestures at the empty scaffold pieces, leftover props from an abandoned tour. "You retreat into stories, and I don't know which walls are paper and which keep bullets out." A flicker, pain, maybe anger, creases Michael's mouth. He rises, walks to the nearest riser platform, and taps the plywood. "You call it retreat. I call it architecture. When I was 9, my father drove us through a blizzard because the promoter wouldn't refund tickets. I sang with a fever of 104. Audience never saw the vomit in the wings." He wraps an arm around his torso as if the phantom fever still gnaws. "That night I learned my body was inventory. Voice was product. People only love you if you never make them witness the price." Tyler steps closer. "And hiding here makes it better?" "It makes it bearable." Michael's gaze sharpens. "But truth burns hot. I invited you because fire needs testimony." He reaches into his hoodie pocket, pulls out a cassette. Familiar Maxell shell, label blank, except a single word inked in trembling hand. Unmastered. He holds it like contraband. "Final mix. Our pulse is still in it. No lawyers, no label." A dry laugh. "Probably the last song they'll never confiscate." Tyler takes the tape, thumb brushing the spool window. Plastic warm from Michael's palm. For a heartbeat, he hears the offset kick. Hammond glow. That barn-born bridge breathing inside ferrite coils. Truth squeezed into something that can't speak unless accepted. He slips it gently into his jacket. Wind sighs through roof slats, scattering sand across concrete. Michael's eyes followed the swirl. "I built kingdoms because the real one wouldn't let me own my childhood," he says, softer now. "But even make-believe needs witnesses, or it rots into rumor. Tell me you'll keep listening after headlines move on." "I will," Tyler answers, surprised by the solidity of the vow. "It's the only compass left." Michael nods, lids lowering as if surrendering to that small certainty. Then his shoulders stiffen with a final surge. "You think I don't fight," he says, voice sharpening. "Every stage, every visit to a dying child. Every damn note I insist stays in the key my soul hears. That is battle. Swords just look like sequins from a distance." Tyler feels heat bloom behind his eyes. He imagines tabloids calling such words self-pity, imagines late-night hosts twisting them into punchlines. But here, beneath leaking twilight, they are scripture of survival. He reaches, rests a hand on Michael's bandaged knuckles.
No more solos, he says.
Duet or silence?
Outside, the desert swallows the sun, leaving a vast hush so complete they can hear the tick of cooling metal in the parked truck. No cameras, no PR filters, just two exhausted men standing in an improvised cathedral of rust and plywood, their shadows long enough to touch. All certainties feel fragile, yet the exchange has weight. A cassette, a promise, a fragile concord that neither clarity nor doubt will sever the narrow bridge of music stretched between them. Night drops fully, pricking the sky with indifferent stars. They walk to the hangar doors, boots grinding sand. Before parting, Michael gestures at the open expanse. Desert keeps secrets, he says. Bury doubt here if you can. He slips into a waiting SUV whose headlights remain off until distance erases shape. Tyler stands alone, cassette humming phantom chords against his chest. He looks at the emptiness. No footprints hold long in shifting grit, but the moment feels etched deeper than geography. Truth may lack witnesses, yet echoes prove it spoke. He pockets the tape, turns the truck toward the barely visible road, and drives into darkness that suddenly feels less like void, more like canvas awaiting first brush of dawn. Gray drizzle lathers the courthouse steps, disguising them as a long, sullen waterfall that nobody dares to ford. Yet, here they come. Camera crews with canvas ponchos, paralegals balancing crates of files, spectators herded by orange barricades like curious livestock. January 1994. The city has redressed itself in damp concrete tones, as though even the weather has adopted legal neutrality. Tyler clears security. Metal detector wailing at the harmonica he forgot was in his coat. A guard keeps the instrument, slips him a pity smile, and waves him toward an elevator that smells of rust and toner. The subpoena arrived 10 days earlier. Cream paper, seal embossed deep enough to bruise a fingertip. It named him a prospective witness in Doe v. Jackson. Deposition scheduled to explore matters of character. The phrase felt surgical, the way a scalpel pretends only curiosity. He showed the summons to no one, packed a satchel with the desert cassette, and bought the cheapest tie he could find at a thrift store where mannequins stared like bankrupt prophets. Now, outside the assigned conference room, two bailiffs converse in whispers too low to parse. Tyler studies the brushed steel plaque, Room 614, Special Settlement Mediation, then wipes clammy palms on his trousers. The door opens before he can knock. Inside wait 3 men in tailored charcoal and a stenographer setting paper rolls into a machine older than her haircut. No jury, no judge in robes, only coffee gone cold and a clock whose hands appear stalled at 5 minutes to something. They invite him to sit. Before a single question forms, the lead attorney receives a pager buzz. He excuses himself, returns in 60 seconds carrying a ream of newly printed documents bound with scarlet ribbon. Negotiations concluded, he announces, as though describing weather. Matter resolved to mutual satisfaction. Your testimony is no longer required. He hands Tyler a slim folder, stamped Confidential. Declaration of non-participation. Just sign here, acknowledging you were released. Standard housekeeping. Ink barely dries before an aide whisks the folder into a banker's box already overflowing with similar signatures, grave markers for truths never spoken. No further explanation. Tyler is escorted out, his mouth still shaped around an unasked question. On the sidewalk, reporters swarm like gulls at a fish market. Microphones bloom inches from his chin, each branded with a network logo louder than the last. Why did he pay off the family? Someone shouts. Does hush money equal guilt? Tyler tries to walk, but the flock tightens. Feathers of insinuation brush his cheeks. A camera's red tally light blinks. Judgment recorded at 30 frames per second. He finally shoves through, lungs burning with exhaust and accusation. Across the street, a newsstand displays fresh tabloids under clear plastic rain shields. Every cover hollers in billboard fonts. Payout proves predator. Wacko walks free. The clerk has taped handmade posters above the rack, cartoons of Michael with devil horns, a barcode across his forehead. Kids bike past waving cardboard signs that read, Wacko Jacko, in neon marker, chanting the phrase as if it were lyrics of a summer hit. Tyler ducks into a bathroom stall of a nearby cafe, sits on the closed toilet, and waits for pulse to slow. The cassette presses against his ribs in the jacket's inner pocket, reminder of frequencies unsullied by litigation. He thinks of the hangar in the desert, of Michael asking, "Do you believe me?" and realizes how cowardly silence can feel when words are weaponized by strangers. Phone booths still exist in '94. He finds one and dials Neverland's service line. The operator's script is tight. Mr. Jackson is unavailable. All calls screened. He leaves no message. Paparazzi buy taped voices. Instead, he mails a postcard bought at the courthouse gift shop. Blank, save for 4 words. Still listening. Still here. Weeks crawl. Headlines metastasize. Evening news splices old performance footage with artist renderings of courtroom drama that never happened. Talk radio hosts adopt glee thick as molasses. If you wire 6-figure hush money, what are you hiding? The settlement, official phrasing without admission of wrongdoing, becomes proof of the opposite in public imagination. Tyler begins to catalog distortions the way ornithologists list bird calls. Innuendo, sarcasm, recycled rumor. He fills notebooks. The exercise fails to disinfect fury, but at least cages it. One wind-raked night, an envelope slides under his apartment door. No stamp, no return address, edges smudged as though carried in a sweating palm for miles. Inside, a single sheet of heavy stationery. The handwriting he recognizes, but not the ink. Rusty crimson, letters trembling slightly, as if the pen resisted flow. They stapled my voice to $signs. The note begins. So I borrow the color of blood, currency they have yet to counterfeit. I wish the world would ask why silence costs more than confession. In the corner, a blot where the pen lingered too long, ink pooling like a slow hemorrhage. No signature, only the initial. Scratched so faintly, it resembles the tail of a comet slipping behind clouds. Tyler reads the letter 3 times, mental metronome faltering. He sets it beside the cassette on his desk, 2 artifacts humming different octaves of the same grief. Outside, somebody spray paints "freak" on an alley wall. Laughter ricochets off bricks, then recedes. The city does not pause to verify echo against source. That night, he dreams of a court with no walls, only mirrors. Witnesses speak, but their reflections mouth opposite meanings. The judge bangs a gavel, yet the sound is cotton. Verdict scrolls across the sky in headlines that rearrange themselves whenever he tries to read. He wakes before dawn, whispering Michael's question into the dark. If truth doesn't save, what remains? Answer arrives not as words, but as rhythm. Kick slightly off the 1, Hammond chord that blooms like first light through rotting boards. He rises, plugs headphones into a battered deck, and lets the unmastered track flood the room. Outside,
Early commuters crank radios, hunting scandal updates. Inside, offset drums insist on pattern over chaos. The contrast feels like proof of life. In the months that follow, Michael retreats behind gates and curtains. Sightings reduced to grainy telephoto blurs, the tabloids enlarge until pixels weep. Tyler mails 3 more postcards, all variations of "still listening." None receive reply. Only the absence of returned mail assures him the address remains intact. On a humid June afternoon, posters for the world tour come down. Record stores restock shelves with compilation discs. The label rushes to monetize leaking goodwill. Tyler walks Hollywood Boulevard and counts how many buskers adopt exaggerated moonwalks, while plastic-tipped jars gape. Tourists laugh, toss quarters, move on. Fame has mutated into carnival mask. The man behind it is now rumor's negative space. One evening, he passes an elementary school playground. Children squat on asphalt trading stickers. One boy imitates a crotch grab. Classmates cackle. A girl calls out, "Wacko Jacko!" with playground glee. Tyler's stomach knots. They inherit mockery before melody, legend disfigured into playground taunt. He goes home, sets fresh tape in a 4-track recorder, and begins layering guitar over the breath gaps in Michael's vocal. Not to polish, just to keep pulse alive. Headphones seal him from sirens outside. He works until sunrise bleaches the blinds. When he finally stops, he realizes the cassette has spun out to static, but the room still throbs with the unheard. Truth did not save, but it persisted, vibrating molecules even as words failed. He presses palms flat on the desk, feeling wood quiver like a skin drum. If the system incinerates what it cannot categorize, then survival is not exoneration, but echo. And echoes, he decides, can outlast verdicts. June 25th. Los Angeles heats like sheet metal left beneath a welding torch, static haze blurring the skyline when Tyler's studio line rings. He is hunched over a Neve console at Echo Basin, polishing a bass stem nobody will notice outside headphones, when the assistant bursts in, eyes bright with the kind of shine that belongs on police flares, not human faces. "See, and just cut in," she says. "Cardiac arrest. They're saying Michael." Words tilt the room. For an instant, Tyler hears nothing but a low-frequency hiss. The sound tape makes once the music stops, and the reels keep spinning. He half rises, forgets the swivel chair has wheels, stumbles. The assistant steadies him, mouth moving. He can't decode syllables, only sees the curve of pity at their edges and knows it is real. He drives with the radio off, city radio tuned anyway to a single frequency of rumor. Strangers on sidewalks passing phones, horns blaring for no reason but release. Outside UCLA Medical Center, a clotted river of vans backs traffic to Wilshire. Flash bulbs burst in afternoon glare, pointless as candles at high noon. Tyler parks 6 blocks away, where no one has yet chalked pay to park on windshield dust. Walks. Each footfall knifes memory. The hangar's hush, the broken mirror, the hospital room where Ellie whispered, "Thank you," with eyes that already seemed to forgive a world bigger than her lungs. A perimeter of sawhorses corral reporters and the curious. Tyler slips among them, older now, beard threaded with the first grays, plain black ball cap a better disguise than any mask fame could buy. When an ambulance door opens, he glimpses a gurney shrouded, guards shielding angles, and the hush that follows carries the weight of a cathedral roof groaning under snow.
Somewhere a woman wails lyrics to Ben until her voice cracks. Sirens never sound. There is no emergency left to solve. That night, every channel becomes retrospective carousel. Glitter socks, Motown 25 freeze frame, 1,000 shrieks distilled into crowd noise always set to reverb. Panels of cultural surgeons dissect his final decade with scalpels smeared in nostalgia or suspicion. Pick your feed. Tyler kills the television, but static leaps anyway, crawling the screen like ants who refuse eviction. His phone lights with numbers he deleted years earlier. Producers beg commentary. You worked with him, yes? Any quirky anecdotes? Quirky. The word tips bile into his throat. He powers off the phone, roots through a fire safe for the desert cassette, finds it still nested beside Michael's ink-blood letter, holds the plastic to lamplight. Tape coils glimmer like tiny riverbeds caught mid-current. 3 days later, a courier in morning black delivers a padded envelope marked private. Inside lies a flash drive, legal letterhead, and note from an estate lawyer. Per Mr. Jackson's directive, original assets containing unpublished material involving Mr. Brooks are to be transferred to his sole custody. The drive contains a mastered track list for what was to be the comeback album. Track 7, Window, with T. Brooks' demo vocal. A separate folder stores a solitary voice memo. Michael speaking, breath grainy, no background noise. Ty, the recording begins. The world keeps confusing echo with origin. If they strip everything else, guard the seed. You were real the moment the cup fell. Stay that spill, untrained but true. Music remembers. 34 seconds, ends with a soft chuckle that almost reaches sky before cutting to digital silence. Tyler plays it twice, afraid a third might let it evaporate. Staples Center, July 7th. Public Memorial folds Los Angeles into one throat, half grieving, half sightseeing. Tyler bypasses ushers, seat locator apps, and arrives early, sits last row balcony where dust of decades gathers unnoticed. From here, the stage resembles a small square of starless space lit by candles too distant for warmth. Eulogies flow. Berry Gordy's measured pride. Brooke Shields's tremble. Nephews fighting quivers in their harmonies. When a hologram of young Michael flickers across projection scrim, the crowd gasps like one being who briefly believed resurrection had gotten cheaper. Tyler's eyes close. He hums the Hammond line from Window, letting the syncopated heartbeat he helped rescue keep time beneath heavily orchestrated sadness. Service ends. Mourners filter to daylight, where vendors hawk T-shirts printed overnight. Tyler stays until workers begin stacking chairs, until echo diffuses. He descends the stairwell alone, exit door groaning like old wood, though it's metal. Security nods. Just another shadow. Outside, sirens are back to ordinary crimes. He walks past news crews archiving fresh grief for prime time, past kids rehearsing moonwalks on arena concrete, shoes scuffing tribute black marks management will erase before sunrise. At home, he seeds backup copies of the drive in cloud vaults under oblique file names, keeps the original in the fire safe, places the cassette on his nightstand, artifact of a friendship measured in syncopations, not selfies. For the first time since news broke, he allows sobs to breach sternum. They arrive dry, half-silent, like wind in an empty marquee, but they hollow him clean enough for new resonance. Morning brings work email, pending deals, life tugging forward. He answers nothing. Instead, he opens a fresh session. imports Michael's unmixed a cappella, solos the track, breaths, slight pitch wavering, humanity left intact. Tyler layers sparse guitar, lets strings answer every vulnerability rather than mask it. He keeps the offset kick raw. When the bounce renders, he renames the file Compass. He does not upload it. Some songs, he now knows, live deeper than servers and charts. He burns one CD, slips it into a padded envelope addressed only with a treble clef drawn where the name belongs. An inside joke Michael liked about music being its own postcode. Into the mailbox it goes, destination undefined, voyage enough. Dusk settles violet over Echo Park. Tyler walks lakeside watching lamplight ripple. Ducks glide, unbothered by legacy debates. He sits, closes eyes, hears children somewhere rehearsing the misremembered choreography. And underneath their clatter floats a chord. Minor, unresolved, but alive. Echo, yes, yet origin, too, because he carries it now, pulse steady, waiting for whatever bridge the next dawn will ask him to play. Morning settles over an unmarked storefront on Franklin Avenue with the casual patience of a cat claiming a windowsill. No sign above the door, just a small brass bell wired to a hinge, tuned by its installer to ring a B-flat when the door swings wide. Inside, the space is neither diner nor gallery, yet borrows hush from both. Exposed brick washed the color of dimmed stage lights. Velvet banquettes, the shade of late-season plums. Two bistro tables salvaged from the Chateau Marmont's last remodel anchor, opposite corners like commas, pausing thought. Centered between them stands a baby grand, mahogany dulled into cordial dusk, lid propped just enough to whisper promise. Tyler, gray now threading a beard once black, arrives before sunrise, flicks on a single Edison bulb over the bar, and grinds beans roasted the night before. He keeps the grinder dialed one notch coarser than industry norm. He says it lets water linger, the way good stories do. The espresso machine, vintage La Marzocco, hisses awake, steam coiling through chilled air as if testing the room's willingness to dream. There is no menu board. Regulars know to ask what the day feels like and accept whatever answer pours out of the portafilter. By 8:30, the quiet clientele trickles in. A widow who reads Neruda without turning pages. A session guitarist nursing cortado and tinnitus. An ink-stained retiree writing letters to grandchildren who prefer texts. They speak in murmurs, the way museum-goers address each other before an uncaptioned canvas. The rule is unspoken but firm. Conversation may orbit music, never celebrity. If someone utters a tabloid sobriquet, the bell at the door tells them, politely, inevitably, that they might prefer a louder address down the street. On a Wednesday, washed clean by overnight rain, a father and his son step through the doorway, shaking droplets from thrift store jackets. The boy is maybe 10, hair sticking in damp spikes, eyes wide, with that startled hope peculiar to children who sense magic lives in everyday furniture. The bell's B-flat fades. Tyler greets them with the smile he saves for first-timers. Courteous, reserved. Like a musician giving a downbeat, others must choose to follow. They order 2 hot chocolates and, per Tyler's suggestion, share a slice of bread pudding drenched in espresso glaze. While father rummages for a wallet, the boy drifts toward the baby grand, fingertips skating the polished curve. Tyler watches, remembering a different boy decades earlier, compelled toward keys, as though gravity bent more steeply there. Without instruction, the child lifts the fallboard, revealing ivory still fragrant with lemon oil. He strikes a tentative triad, C major voiced open,
pedal catching sympathy from the room's underside. Then, almost shyly, he finds the left-hand pattern. Root, fifth, a gentle slide into suspended fourth. Right hand slips above, carving a melody Tyler knows in his marrow. 4 bars born under a chandelier's hush, sustained through hangars and hospital wards, preserved on a cassette now housed in a cedar box beneath the counter. The father looks up, startled. "Where'd you learn that?" The boy shrugs, eyes never leaving the keys. "I didn't. It just feels like something I already know." Tyler's throat tightens. Steam wands sigh behind him, but he cannot move. Each chord the child coaxes is a footfall across years, the pulse off the one, the Hammond voicing lingered by twilight. No embellishment, just the bones of the thing, still warm. He opens the register, not for cash, but for the slim drawer beneath, slides it aside, and lifts a heat-scarred cassette whose label was singed in the hallway attack long ago. Plastic brittle, but the reels inside dormant like seeds awaiting rain. He sets it on the coffee bar beside a mug cooling faster than candles burn. Patrons fall silent. Cups pause mid-journey. The widow closes Neruda, folds her hands. The guitarist tilts his head, as if a phantom click track just aligned. Even the bell seems to hold its breath. Tyler does not explain provenance. He simply listens until the final chord resolves, pedal lifting, dampers kissing strings into quiet. A beat, then another. The room stays hushed, not out of reverence for fame, but for something harder to market. Recognition without prior introduction. The boy slips back to his table, cheeks flushed, chocolate waiting. Words fail him, but his grin is choir enough. Tyler pours 2 glasses of water, delivers them, and says only, "Perfect tempo," because anything further would cheapen both giver and gift. Behind the bar, he turns the mug so its handle faces the empty piano bench. Steam has vanished. Surface ripples fade. Coffee gone lukewarm, unfiltered by spotlight or commentary, just actual, unmarketable reality in a chipped porcelain cup. Sunlight angles through the high window, catching dust motes and making them glow like fireflies, imprisoned by noon. In that beam hangs the silent photograph on the wall. A young waiter in a stained apron beside a man in sunglasses, both laughing at something forever inaudible. No caption, no frame of reference. Regulars assume it's a look-alike gag. Newcomers rarely notice. Tyler wipes a drop from the tabletop, inhales the now cool aroma, nutty, faintly citrus, and realizes the cup finally tells the truth of itself, unmarred by zeal or disdain. It will not be reheated. It does not need to. Some flavors arrive only after the steam has left, and impatience has gone with it. A fresh customer opens the door. The bell offers its B-flat. The piano waits, keys slowly settling from the boy's touch. And in the valley between notes, Tyler hears the faintest after ring, the echo of echo. It is enough. He straightens a saucer, aligns the spoon, and greets the newcomer with the same quiet nod. An invitation into a story already humming beneath the floorboards, carried not by headlines but by the simple physics of vibration. Outside, traffic thrums like distant drums. Inside, cooled coffee anchors the present tense. And underneath it all, the music remembers, steady as heartbeat, even when nobody names the song aloud.